Now it's time to build the final activity in our WhatsApp clone, the chat activity. And this is actually going to be fairly straightforward. We're going to bring in a simple plain text field, which will go at the bottom of the screen and will be full width, and that will be where the user can post their chat. So I'll call this chat edit text. And then we're going to use a list view to display past chats. So let's drag in our list view. We want to align the list view with the chat edit text. So I'm going to bring that in like that. And then we've got our list view just above our chat edit text. And we'll call this chat list view. There we go. All right, so we've got two jobs here. We want the user to be able to send a chat, and we want to be able to view all the past chats in the list view. So come to think of it, we'll also need a button, which I'll put in the bottom right there. Which will be a send chat button. Okay, right. So let's do the send chat part first. And we'll do that with a public method called send chat. And we're going to need to know the active user here. So I'm going to define my active user initially just as an empty string out there. And now to get the chat content, I'm going to need to know the content of the chat edit text. So let's get that, edit text. I'll call it chat edit text. It's going to be an edit text found by its ID, resources.id.chat edit text. Then we're going to create a pass object called message. And this is going to be a new pass object with a class of message. And for our messages, all we're going to need to keep track of is the sender, the recipient, and the message itself. So let's save those. So message.put, and we'll have sender, and that's going to be our current user. So pass user.getCurrentUser.getUsername. We're going to need the recipient, which is going to be the active user. And then we'll need the message, which will be chat edit text dot get text dot toString. And then we'll take our message, save it in the background with a new save callback. And then as long as there's no error, we'll just let the user know that that's been successful. Okay, so far so simple. Let's give it a go. So I'll try and send Kirsten a message. Tap send, and it's looking good. Let's just make sure over in Firefox we'll refresh the pass dashboard, and now we can see that message there. Brilliant. Sender Rob, recipient Kirsten. While we're there, let's just add a quick response. So hi, how's it going? From Kirsten to Rob. Right, so now we're going to need to display all of these messages. We'll do that in the onCreate method. So we'll need an array list of strings to keep track of the messages. And we'll also need an array adapter to work with our list view. So let's find the chat list view. It's going to be a list view, which we find by its ID, r.id.chat list view. And we'll also set up the array adapter. It's going to be a new array adapter using this as the context, android.r.layout.simpleListItem1 as the layout, and then messages as the linked array list. And then, because I'm feeling confident, I'm going to go straight into the parse query. It's going to be a parse query on parse objects this time, which I'll call query. And then this is going to be a new parse query. And we're querying the message class we created up here. Now we want to do something very slightly different to what we've done before. We want to do a double query because we're going to be looking for messages that are both sent and received by our user. So we're looking for where the sender is equal to Rob or the recipient is equal to Rob. And of course, the other way around, if the sender is Rob, we want to make sure the recipient is Kirsten. So we're going to need two queries to do that. So I'm actually going to rename that query 1. And then we're going to set query 1 where the sender is equal to our current user. So parse user.getCurrentUser.getUsername. And we want the recipient to be the active user, i.e. the person that we're currently communicating with. I'm then going to create a second parse query on parse objects, which I'll call query 2, which will be a new parse query. Again on the message class. And this time we want it the other way around. So where the recipient is equal to the current user, and also the sender must be equal to the active user. Okay, then we take these two queries and combine them into a single query. And we do that by putting them into a list. So this is going to be a list of parse queries. And both the parse queries are over parse objects. I'll call this queries. And this is going to be a new array list on parse queries containing parse objects. Oops, I've just got that in the wrong place there. There we go. So then we take our queries and we add query 1 to it. And then we add query 2. And then finally, we create our main query in the usual way, but this time we use parse query. And you can see at the bottom there, we've got .or. And then we put our list of queries in. And that's how in parse you run OR queries, i.e. when we want to check for one set of things being true or another set of things being true. So it's a little bit verbose, but hopefully that makes sense. And we want to order those by date. So we'll take our query and order by descending. And the thing we want to check for is the created at date. There we go. So now we've got our query. We'll find it in the background with, of course, a new find callback. Then we'll check to make sure there's no error and that we have some objects. And if that's the case, we'll loop through them. So each of these is going to be parse objects, which I'll call message in objects. And then we want to add them to our messages array list, which we created up here. There it is. And I'll actually start by clearing messages, just in case. And then we want to add them to messages, but we do want a way to make it clear which ones are from us and which ones are from the other user. So obviously lots of ways you can do that. I'm going to choose a very simple way and just append a greater than sign at the beginning if it's from the other user. So let's create a string, not a string tokenizer, just a string called message content. And this will initially be message.getString, and it's the message string where the message is contained. And then we'll just check to see if the sender, i.e. message.getString sender, is not the current user. So parse user, get current user, get username. Or in fact, we should use as their strings equals rather than the not equal to. There we go. But we do want that not to be the case, so we'll put an exclamation mark at the front. So if the sender is not our user, then we'll add the greater than sign to the beginning of the string. So we just use message content equals greater than sign and then message content. There we go. Then we'll append that to messages. And then when we're done, oops, sorry, it's message content I want to append. And then when we're finished, we'll take our array adapter and notify that the data set has changed. And there we go. There's just one thing I think I've forgotten to add, and that is I haven't actually applied the array adapter to the chat list view. So let's do that. There we go. All right. So that's one of the more complex queries that we've done on parse, but it's the only way to do OR queries here. You set up two individual queries and then combine them as a list. And now we should be able to tap on Kirsten and see the messages that have been sent both ways. Let's take a look. And there we go. So we can see both of those messages. And probably worth noting that we've got the newest at the top there, whereas it's generally considered best in chat apps to do the newest at the bottom. So let's just change that to order by ascending. All right, so we're pretty much done. The only thing I want to change is that when the user sends the message, currently it's not added to their chat. So let's fix that. We'll save it for the save callback. If you want to make your app appear even faster, you can always do it straight away there. Perhaps have some kind of symbol which updates when it's actually been sent. Just put it in the save in background callback. And all we need to do is add it to messages. And again, we want chat edit text dot get text dot to string. And then update the array adapter to notify it that it's been changed. All right, so let's check that out. We should now find that when we send a message, it appears almost immediately on the chat list. And here we go. So view the chat again, and there it is. And let's reply, great, thanks. How are you? Send, and then it appears there when it's been successfully sent. All right, so pretty much there, the only slight thing is that we don't really want the message to still be there in the box after we've sent it. So let's make it disappear straight after we've sent it here. So we'll just use chat edit text dot set text to empty. And of course, if we're going to do that, we need to store the contents of it before we use it down there. So let's create a string message content, which will be chat edit text dot get text dot to string. And in fact, we can make that app slightly more efficient by using message content there as well. And then here, we use message content again. All right, so a final check. We should now find that our chat edit text content disappears, ready for a new message when we've sent our message. Okay, so once again, over to this chat, and let's ask her if she wants some coffee. And there we go. So that's deleted the content, ready for a new message. Terrific. So we now have our WhatsApp clone with the basic functionality replicated. Of course, there's a huge amount we could add to this, including sending things like images and videos, including read receipts, and a lot more, but I'll leave that to you, and I'll end my WhatsApp clone here. Congratulations on making it to the end of the developer part of this course. Now we're going to move straight on and see how you can market those fantastic apps that you're going to build using the skills that you've learned in this course.